I'm still going to rate myself a 10.
Dante Jackson. Is this Davon Jackson's evil twin brother? Okay, so continue with your point you're saying about the 10.
So a 10 would be considered perfect. Do you consider yourself perfect?
I mean, of course. I mean, I have my flaws, of course, but I think it's about confidence. It's about having confidence in yourself.
Super chatted $50. In reality, when a man rates you honestly on your looks, you call us insecure and get hurt. None of you ladies are 10s, especially the delusional nanny. If you are a 10, where is your Vogue contract? You barely deserve an average guy. Bangs.
All right.
Do you want to shoot shots back at Cheeks? Beaten Cheeks.
I love your name, bro. Your name's amazing.
I really don't care, to be honest.
Can I say
Good for you.
something?
Unbothered queen.
Go for it.
I think that people thinking like if you're a 10 you're on Vogue, I think that's kind of dumb because not everyone who is on Vogue is absolutely gorgeous. It's just they're, rich enough and famous enough to be on there. And I also think that like rating ourselves is kind of not beneficial because, I mean, I'm a Christian, so I think that we're made in God's
I
image,
can't with this.
so
Okay. So she comes back on, bangs, and she says that she's a 10. Okay? She's a 10. Now, let's ask everyone in the chat. Is she a 10? No, the answer is no. She is not a 10. And you know how I feel about this. No one is a 10, in my view, because a 10 is perfection, right? But you know what we're talking about for the sake of the conversation. We're talking about really, 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 really hot girls. Somebody that you would walk down the street, you'd see, and you'd be like, oh, is that a model? It happens, right? You walk down the street like, wow, that's, some people are just a beautiful specimen. Men, women. It's almost like they were just created and they just like all the features align, the body type, everything. This woman is not a 10. This woman is not approaching a 10. Okay, I have to be realistic about that. This is not to take a dig at her, by the way. This is just objective reality. So she thinks that rating yourself is about confidence. That's delusion, honey. What he's asking you is if you have a realistic assessment of where you are on the look spectrum. Now, why is that important? For obvious reasons, because if you go out there and you have a distorted sense of what you look like, and you're thinking, oh, I'm a 10, I'm a 10, I'm a 10, because I guess your mama told you, or I don't know, your therapist told you, you're walking around saying I'm a 10, and you're looking at 10 guys, and they're amazing, built, this, that, the other thing, and you're like, well, that's who I want. You're living in the land of Oz, honey. Because those guys are going to be looking for women that are actually close to 10. That's not you. You're going to be left sad. You're going to be left alone. It's just not helpful. It's not realistic. If you say to yourself, let's say somebody's a 6, and they say, you know what, I'm confident. I'm a 6, looks-wise. Maybe you've got other things you bring to the table. It's not like a death sentence. It's just looks are one component of what makes a person appealing. But if you're realistic about that, then if a guy who's a 6, who also visually may be a 6, but has a lot of other things he brings to the table, walks in, you're going to give that guy a time of day. You're going to give that guy a chance to show you what else he's got because you're saying, well, you know what? Looks aren't everything when it comes to me. I'm not some, 10. So why would I have that expectation of a guy? It just creates a more realistic opportunity for you to make a connection with a man. So Brian is repeatedly trying to have some discussion with this woman that brings her back to reality, and she won't have it, right? Because she was told that she's supposed to say she's a 10. Feminists told her that it's self-empowering to be deluded. She's going to insist she's a 10. And regardless of what realistic, logical, factual point you bring up, she's going to toe her line. There's a lot of women like that. And by the way, guys don't have this luxury, really, that women have, this delusion, because guys, they have to go up to women oftentimes, and they get rejected constantly. So a guy who's a 6 knows he's a 6, right? Because he's gone up to women who are 8s and who are 7s and who are 9s, and they've been like, no thanks, right? Over and over and over and over again. So they get comfortable with where they stand. And they're like, hey, I bring other things to the table. Or they say to themselves, you know what? I'm only a 6 visually, but I'm going to like amp up this part of my life. I'm going to get a really good job. I'm going to be a really good guy. I'm going to, all these other things I can bring to the table. I'm going to amp all that up so my value increases because I know visually I'm not, Brad Pitt. But women get so much attention online through the DMs and OnlyFans and Instagram, and everything is photoshopped and everything is fake, that then they walk out into the real world and they're expecting that same level of attention. And when they're looking at you face to face, honey, it doesn't quite look like the Instagram photo, is all I'm going to say. So then it's like this harsh reality, because you've been deluding yourself and you've been living in the world of make-believe on Instagram with your airbrushed photos and all that stuff. And suddenly that 10 guys not paying attention to you and you're upset. Just trying to wake you up, is all I'm saying. Now, the delusion goes so far with this one, though. You have to ask yourself, though, is it delusion? Does she really believe what she's saying? And I want to have MLD on, because I want to ask him, when you were in the presence of this woman, do you really think she was believing what she was saying, or was she there just to toe a line? I'm curious to ask him. But let's go to 2739. She brings up another girl brings up an interesting example, who she also, by the way, believes is a 10. Just listen up.
Like, we live in a society where Lizzo is really overweight and people think that she's a 10. Would you rate her a 10?
Yeah, I guess. Like, I think all women are a 10, to be honest.
All women.
Yeah.
But-
I think
but-
I go outside and honestly, like, I see like 10 beautiful girls. I see like a fine man like every 2.5 years, if I'm going to be honest.
So
I go outside and I see beautiful women everywhere.
Okay. All right. Before the man-hating has begun. Right. First of all, Deli, would you do me a favor? Could you bring up an image of Lizzo? I just want to take a look at Lizzo, because she said, you know how to do that in here? Okay, we're in a different room. She said that Lizzo is a 10. I find that an interesting statement. So Deli's, okay, let's just, any random, you see these images of Lizzo? Does Lizzo look like a 10 to you in your assessment? Lizzo is obese, morbidly so. Lizzo is not a 10. Okay. Lizzo is not a 10. This girl, Bangs, is not a 10. Can we just have, I mean, is there no one sane left in the world? Okay. They're not a 10. So the example is utterly absurd. The reason that other girl brought it up, because she was like, yeah, I mean, she was expecting her to be like, well, no, Lizzo's not a 10. No, every woman is a 10. Also, notice the man-hating. So this woman had the audacity to say that all women are 10s. Lizzo, her, you know, all women are 10. She walks out and she just sees an array of beautiful women at the grocery store, everywhere. But she hasn't seen a decent-looking guy in 2.5 years. You're a man-hater. You are a man-hater, because that's just untrue, right? That's utterly ridiculous that you would say that. If you like the short clip and want to watch the full episode, click here. And if you want to connect with me one-on-one on Connect, you're going to click right here. Let's get to talking.